Okay, I think you're live.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, hello.
Yes,
Testing.
we're live.
All right.
Hello guys, my name is Jae-Hong Park. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for Canada and the US Northwest. We're very happy to be here today with you talking about Profoto and A10. And also we're here with Raph Nogal at Raph Nogal Studio, located in Toronto. It's a beautiful weather today. It was 25. It's about 70 Fahrenheit. And we look forward to showing you some live demos and some tips and tricks and also some of the questions that you may have.
So let's see, maybe if whoever's online, if you guys can let us know if you can hear us, if you can see the slide, just so that way the technical stuff is out of the way. So just leave a quick comment or let us know somehow. All right.
Okay, so today's agendas, as you can see on the slide, we're going to do some quick introduction, and we're going to talk about Raph, who he is, and also we're going to talk about the all-new Profoto A10 and RX technology, and also we're going to go over some workflow, and we'll have some time to shoot. And there's some final thoughts. I know some of you may have a lot of questions regarding the RX and the smartphone photography, what that is, and why is it coming up now, why is it making such a big deal these days on all the photo communities. And we'll do a live Q&A with the selected questions. Okay? Okay, introduction. I switch to Raph.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here and be doing this webinar for Profoto. I've been using Profoto since 2016, and so I'll get a little bit more into that a little bit later. But just as a brief introduction, if you don't know who I am, I'm a wedding photographer, wedding and portrait photographer based out of Toronto. This is my 11th year photographing weddings and being a professional photographer. So it was sort of a weird way how I got into this profession. I used to do visual arts when I was younger and didn't really see much of a way to make a living doing visual arts and being an artist. And I went into science and did some other stuff. Just to again pay the bills and so on, and I've always found it to be interesting. But something was missing, and I found the medium of photography actually on my honeymoon in Costa Rica in 2008, which was now looking back quite a long time ago. But what we do is we're wedding and portrait studio. And we do predominantly weddings, but also have expanded, especially now during these times, to families, headshots, and ultimately I photograph people. So I really enjoy the interaction. I think on a wedding day especially, you meet so many different people, so many different characters, and family members and friends of our wedding party. So that's always fun, and I do enjoy the craziness and the unpredictability of a wedding day scenario. So ultimately, earlier on in my career, I fell in love with off-camera lighting. And this was something that it kind of just reminded me of some of the painters that I used to study as an art student. So Caravaggio, Rembrandt, and their use of light in painting. And I always found that lighting in photography is very similar, where you're painting, when an artist paints with a paintbrush, we really paint with light. Ultimately, photography is the study and use of lights to create something interesting and visually appealing. So I kind of got obsessed with strobist and David Hobby, and ultimately he was responsible for really getting me on board with lighting, which again has kind of changed the way how I see different environments. It's really opened up my eyes in terms of different opportunities that are present within a wedding scenario, a portrait scenario, and so on. So my journey to Profoto was an interesting one as well. Ultimately, you know, as a younger photographer just starting out part-time at first, you know, we don't have the funds perhaps to invest in really good equipment, but Profoto has always been one of those brands that, you know, you almost aspire to be involved with or own. You know, you see Annie Leibovitz or Albert Watson and some of these great names in our industry use that brand, and so it's something you aspire to maybe one day own. And just through my own frustrations as I was progressing through my career, you know, imagine being in a scenario where you're on a wedding shoot. Bride and groom are there, we're having a good time, I'm trying to get them to do certain things for me, pose a certain way to get a certain image that I've sort of had in my mind. Behind me is the father of the bride, let's say, and he's just giving me one of these, you know, really stern looks because he's paying the bill, for example. And there's nothing more frustrating than when you're getting the couple in the right position, everything's right, you're exposing for that beautiful sunset in the back, you've got the right expression, you press the shutter, and that flash just doesn't fire, which is extremely, extremely frustrating. And then you yell to your assistant, hey, Oliver, is it the battery? Did you change the channel? Are we on channel 1 or channel 2? What is actually happening? And, you know, the dad looking behind us is not looking too pleased, and you get this weird feeling, right? You're a professional at that point. Someone has hired you for a job that you're supposed to do because you're good at your craft and you're a professional. It didn't sit with me. And again, I'm not going to name names, but I've tried so many different brands. Anything from, you know, eBay triggers to some of the names that we know today that are still out there and making equipment. But ultimately, I was looking for one word. And again, it kind of grew out of frustration, and that word is reliability. And so I invested my hard-earned money and bought my first Profoto B1 in 2016, which ultimately changed everything. It changed how I feel about going to a photo shoot, and, you know, making sure that every time I press that shutter, that the trigger is going to fire my flash. And that's been a lifesaver in so many different situations. Even in situations where I have the couple quite far away, let's say on top of the bridge, and I get that range with the Profoto equipment. So that's kind of how I came into the Profoto world. Again, out of frustration, looking for reliability, looking for a beautiful light source, and of course the hundreds and hundreds of light shaping tools that are available with Profoto. That's what really attracted me to the brand. And of course, as we know, Profoto is not a cheap brand. We do need to obviously invest in our gear, but again, investing in ourselves and investing in our gear, that's something that we ultimately should be doing if we want to progress through our career as photographers. So I think that's enough about me and my journey. So we're going to get into the Profoto A10 and the Air X and give you a little bit of information about those two products that have just been released. And so we're gonna do a little shoot later as well. But let's get into it. Maybe we can give you some more information here. So let's do it.
Thank you, Raph. It's very interesting how I met Raph also. It was like 5 years ago. We had a area Instagram social media manager that told me that there is a guy in Toronto who's using B1. So when I met Raph, actually there's no products been loaned out to Raph or anything. He bought his own gears and everything, and just hearing about his journey, how he started, and that's what we're trying to actually spread with other photographers, because all of them went to the same journey. And again, why not start with the best when you first started, to trying to save you that period of time? And we still talk about this, how we started, and I think it makes sense logically, Obviously, when you're starting new, you're gonna go with something that everybody's talking about that doesn't break the bank. But then when it comes to the limit, then you realize that's something that it's more important because it's your workhorse. It's like you're like a Formula One driver. You would need a Formula One car if you're gonna perform in that level, right, Raph?
Yeah, 100%. And something I want to add is ultimately, if I could go back and save myself that time of frustration, and we all invest in cameras and we all invest in lenses, and obviously those are important. Those are the tools of that we're used to, that we're using. But ultimately, if I could go back and save myself some time and frustration, investing in lighting would be definitely on the list of things to do right away.
Great. So, Profoto A10 and the AirX. So I'm sure all of you guys heard about the A10. We launched on September 23rd. It is the great grandson of A1 to A1X to A10. And obviously, we launched the AirX technology a while ago, but this is it's a huge message in terms of, for us, as people how perceive Profoto as. This is all about the future, nothing else. And I would like to dig in a little bit more in detail what this is about. So the A10, we have, obviously, it's a very similar, familiar look that those of you who already owned Profoto A1 and A1X. It's with the lithium ion battery technology. Obviously, unlike others, it has the rechargeable battery that gives you about 450 full charger with the one single charge, and the magnetic mount, which gives you unlimited possibilities of creativities. Keep adding them as like a modular way. And obviously over the air updates. This is revolutionary. If you have a Profoto app, it will tell you when there's a firmware updates. I'm sure a lot of you has been guilty of not updating the firmware and things did not happen, and the first thing the customer service agent says, have you updated firmware? Answer is no, probably it's from the factory. Everybody's guilty. Good news with the Profoto products, as you know, that's starting with A1X that we had this feature. It's going to be updated over the air, so no worry about that. And it has the integrated air TTL remotes. So obviously, if you want to expand to other large Profoto products, you can actually add more lights, so the future proof. And with the beautiful LED design, and it's very intuitive. Again, if you look at the other competitors' screen, you will see a lot of buttons are not very friendly. And with the all-new Profoto AirX technology, which connects with the smartphone, again, this is the major one. Obviously, this is just a product, but what sets the apart from the rest is that there is compatibility with the smartphone. You may not agree with me what that is, with the whether the smartphone will take off, but it's incredible the technological advancement single day. So why choose Profoto A10? It's a light that is both natural and beautiful. That has due to with the circular shape, and it's future proof with Profoto AirX. Again, there's major upgrades from Huawei, Samsung, LG. We're just at the corner of launch of iPhone 12. We do expect it will improve dramatically in terms of the capabilities in camera more than anything else. They do a minor updates on some softwares. However, it's the camera capability that's increasingly getting important. And one of the Apple people said they are the largest camera manufacturer in the world. They proudly say that today. So this is very interesting. And obviously, as a premium brand, we want to provide you the tools. We're not here to tell you that smartphone here to replace DSLR or the mirrorless. Absolutely not. However, we'll be here. We've been here since 1960s. We'll be here until whenever the new form of medium that takes the photographers, the image creators to use as a tool. So we're just providing you the product that has future proof. And again, never miss a shot. With the Profoto A10, the recycling time at full power is 1 second. So you don't have to wait. There's a pause, Raph. I think there's some pause if you use some of the other brands. Was it 4 seconds or was it 5 seconds?
Yeah, I think it varies from different brands to brands, but I mean, even from a perspective where I'm photographing a wedding and I need that flash to just keep up with a bride and groom walking into a hall or doing some movement where I need that recycling time to be there, and it certainly does keep up on a real shoot situation. So I love that about it.
And less time learning and more time shooting. This is something to do with the menu. I'm not a photographer, I'm a business manager. When I look at some of the others, I have no clue, and this is an honest opinion. I have no clue what to do. However, the Profoto UIs, as you see, it's simple. 1 to 10. 1 is the lowest, 10 is the most powerful, and you have the channel, which tells you, it gives you 20 channels, so 1 channel to the 20 channels. You can set them individually, and there is ABCD groups. So there are 4 different groups, and there's a battery indicator, which tells you how much battery you have, and there's the most important thing, the light beam spread, right next to the 20 AA. That's the angle of what your light's gonna look like. It's very intuitive. Another feature I forgot to talk about, actually, it's the swivel head is rigid. I'm talking, this is rock solid rigid. And if you have a chance to try, go visit the nearest Profoto dealers. You can find their list on our website and go try them. Honestly, it's incredible. And here, quickly, I'm going to talk about the AirX technology. Obviously, we launched the AirX technology with the B10 first, and then after we wanted to expand it to the AirX, which is the A10, which is the our portable, most smallest lights, because we do expect that most people will actually want it to have more portable solution, even smaller than B10. B10 is still small. It's about the size of a pint, but I guess a lot of wedding and portrait photographers wanted to have this capability, so we can do. We'll demonstrate it today. Just sneak peek of what you can do with this. The Profoto AirX technology, basically, it turns Profoto Light, a professional light solution, to be compatible with a smartphone, and it's a full flash 2 power which you can use, and we are the first one with the full support, not in terms of the capability, but be able to use the full spectrum of all the power levels that we have. So it doesn't, I know that some brands doesn't go with up to certain level, but it's a full capability. So you can use just like your DSLR, you can replace it. I mean, not saying you can replace it, but that's the logic behind here. And you can it's a freedom to choose anything that you decide. Again, we're here not to tell you whether $100,000 phase 1 camera is great, or Sony mirrorless, or the DSLR Canon 5Ds are great. I mean, everybody has a different needs, and everybody's gonna have a different cameras. Maybe there are people wants to use smartphones. Maybe it's small. I mean, personally, I traveled to Mexico last year, and I only brought my iPhone 11 Pro Max. I'm extremely satisfied with it. However, I did have a mirrorless with me, but I ended up using more of the 11 Pro Max. Okay. And again, it's the professional flash that you can use your smartphone. And with the algorithm that we have with the AirX and its patent pending, you are ensured to get the best possible image results using Profoto camera app that is available from Android and the Apple Store. Again, the future proof, we are talking about the future or what to come, and when it does, we're gonna ensure that this will be there to be compatible and you can use. And same thing, the freedom to choose any device you want. Again, it's kind of repeating, but we don't want to dictate what you use. Okay, so I guess that's it. And please give us 2 seconds. We're gonna set up the studio, or maybe they want to see the studio. Should I just enable the video?
Sure.
Perfect. Yep.
Let's do a little unboxing.
We'll do a little unboxing first. Alrighty.
Perfect. All right.
Oh, let's see. Okay, do we get the...
All right. So should I get mic'd up?
Yes.
Let's get mic'd up. Okay, perfect.
Okay, let me just switch
All right, guys, we're just gonna do this on the fly here, real quick. So I want to tell you guys a little bit. We're just gonna get mic'd up here. Sorry, I'm just gonna leave this on the outside, I guess. So in terms of like workflow and how I can see myself using, you know, the A10. Again, it's very similar to the A1X with the exception of the Bluetooth capability, which is great. And I'll maybe focus on that for now, the Bluetooth capability, and how I would shoot using that technology. So again, this is a very debatable topic. Where are smartphones going in terms of technology, and will they ever replace our DSLRs and our mirrorless? And that's we'll see what the future holds ultimately. But what I want to do is I want to first, you know, applaud Profoto for thinking of the future and having this technology available now. And again, we'll see where this goes ultimately. But for me right now, as a wedding photographer, I don't want to be blatantly honest with you guys. I'm not going to be going out photographing a wedding with my phone. At least not today. It's just not going to happen. But where I can see myself as a professional photographer using this type of technology is, well, first of all, behind the scenes. I think it would be fun to have an assistant hold the phone, be able to take behind the scenes photos, utilize the lights to give a very similar effect that I'm getting in camera in terms of how the lights are hitting our subject, for example, and having that be immediately available for an Instagram story, for example. Right? So that's one way I could see myself doing using this technology right now. The other way, I think, what I like to do, because as a studio, I sell a lot of products as well, so print products. And so when an album comes in for a client, or a beautiful print comes into the studio, I have my lights kind of set up all over the place. And so it's so much easier for me to grab my phone that I have, get a light, bounce it off a wall, or, you know, if it already has a modifier, use that modifier, and do a little behind the scenes or a product shot, again, for Instagram, for social media. Say, hey, beautiful product came in for, you know, Jesse and Janelle, and you know, and can't wait for you guys to come pick it up. So those are some of the ways I can see myself today using this technology. But why don't we get into it? I want to show you guys what we have in front of us here. So we're going to switch cameras real quick to this side. And ultimately, I want to show you the Profoto off-camera kit, which is the A10 and a Profoto Connect. So let's go open that guy up. And only you see a beautiful message there from Connie, one of the founders of Profoto. And let's get into the light first. So light comes in a nice little bag here. Right away on the back, I can see that there's a stand here for the flash, so you can put the flash somewhere on the floor, perhaps. I do that often at weddings where I want to uplight something in the background, for example. So I can use that foot there. Light comes in this nice little pouch. It's nice and velvety inside. What's really cool is it has a little secret compartment up here where you get a little dome. So that gives you very nice fall off on the sides, which is quite nice. So that's what we have in here. Okay, so that's the pouch. There's the flash itself. So if you guys are familiar with the A1X, basically everything is exactly the same dimensions, same power, you know, same mounting. The head might feel a little bit more rigid than the previous one. I don't know if it's not an official thing, but it does feel really sturdy, really good. You're not going to see that moving as you're shaking it, or it's not going to flop on you if you have modifiers up on here. One thing I want to talk about that isn't mentioned a lot, that has actually saved me a few times on a wedding scenario, is how quickly we can take this in and out. So imagine in a scenario where you have this on camera, you're bouncing flash, let's say in a room, and the bride and groom's about to come in, and you take a few pictures of the guests, and suddenly the door bursts open, you're taking shots, and you're out of battery. And so I oftentimes will keep one in my shirt pocket, or in a vest, or in a jacket, and ultimately what we do is within 3 seconds or less, we go like this, swap, and we put it in. And just being able to do that on in a real life situation where you can't really redo that entrance again because of the atmosphere, the DJ, everything, everybody's prepped and doing things on schedule. Well, a little bit on, it's a wedding, it's never on schedule, but we have a timeline sort of to follow. That is a really nice way of being ready and always having something as a backup, being able to get that on the camera really quickly. Okay, so we have again, I don't think I'm going to go into like everything in the menu, and I don't know if should I be doing that? I don't think so. Yeah. So ultimately, guys, what's really cool that I enjoy about this is the modeling light, and the fact that it has one, the fact that we can change the beam angle even of the modeling light as well, which is really nice. So you can see how it focuses, and then we get a little bit wider, which is nice. So this is a great thing to do when you are trying to fill a bigger area, perhaps filling a modifier like a large umbrella. You can spread that beam out and fill that entire modifier and get the most use out of it, which is really nice. And sometimes this will also help you as well, the little dome, so that way it gives you really, really nice soft edges and really great fall off. Okay. Perfect. So let's get into this really quick. This is the Profoto Connect. If you guys have seen it, it looks like a little Pocky Puck. I always think it's pretty cute. But ultimately what it is, an extremely simple remote. It only has 3 buttons, off, auto, and manual. And ultimately there's 2 ways of using this, at least how I use it is, one is I set it to auto. I want to see what it will do for me in terms of TTL metering. If I like what I see, I lock it in manual and I'm good to go. Otherwise, I either walk up to the flash and turn it up and down, kind of the old school way, or I will turn on the app and adjust the power from there. So that's a very simple way of using this without complicating things with multiple options. It's very extremely easy to use remote. So that's that. Inside here we have charger, we have cables, and of course one of the best things about this AirTTL or AirX system is the fact that now firmware upgrades are done through the app without any cables. And if you guys remember, updating firmware is usually going onto a website, logging in, downloading the right type of firmware, unzipping it, running that software, holding 3 buttons at some random configuration, and then hoping that it works. And those days are gone now. Everything's done through the app and literally in 2 minutes, 1 minute, depending on the update. It does it right automatically right in front of you and you're ready to go, which is always nice. So you can always take advantage of the new technology extremely fast when it's available. Okay, so let's see what else is here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have a nice little bag as well. We also have some other light shaping tools. So we have a little bounce card that comes in here. So for you guys doing event photography and you're working, let's say in an art gallery without white walls and you don't want anything to bounce, this is a really nice little device. And you can again pair these up with other magnetic devices or modifiers. Okay. We also have other clickable modifiers. One of my favorites is the Cto Gels. There's different varieties. These all mount and magnet on right onto the flash. Again, you can double them up, triple them up. You can also do grids, one of my favorite things. I love controlling light and the spill of that beam. So you're able to stack these up and again do a third one for a nice fall off as well. So very, very modular and very useful in a real shoot situation. So other than that, there's just cables and straps for this bag, and that's it in a manual. So pretty easy stuff, everything nice and simple. So that's it. I think let us know if you have any questions about what's inside here and what's what, but ultimately we're going to end up using this, so I'm going to take this out and we can get on to maybe photographing some stuff, yeah? Okay. Perfect. So let's do it, guys. We're gonna set up. I want to show you guys a couple of different things on how I utilize small lights. This isn't a portrait situation. So Ira, if you're around, I'd love to grab you here. So we have a beautiful model, Ira, who's joining us and helping us out. So say hi to everybody. Hello. Awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you guys through 3 different lighting setups. I'm going to kind of talk you through my thought process and what I'm looking for as we're photographing. And if you have any questions in the meantime, let me know. And just so you know, we are staying 6 feet apart and all that stuff just due to today. Yeah, let's get going. So ultimately, the first setup I want to do is kind of a take on a clamshell lighting. If you don't know what that is, we want to have 2 light sources. And ultimately, what I'm going to do is use an A10 on top into a large modifier, and then have a reflector at the bottom to bounce a little bit of light back onto my subject. So you could do this with 2 light sources, one on top, one on the bottom, having 2 flashes actually fire. Or you can do it with sort of a modified version where you have one large source at the top and then something to bounce on the bottom, filling in the shadows. So let's do that. I'll show you the setup as we do this. So one thing I want to show you as well is when I'm photographing with and using my Profoto Connect or the A10, or at this point now to the B10 and the B10 Plus, I'll often mount my phone onto my cart as I have equipment on there and everything else. And I will then change my power on this device versus using different remotes. So it's just nice to kind of see, you can see the power setting that's on your flash, which may be quite high up. And I'm not the tallest guy, so I usually got to have something, a little Apple box or something to stand on to check what power we're at. So this is a nice way of having that available to you right here as you're grabbing lenses and things like that. So anyway, perfect. Let's start. So Ira, if I could have you, for this one we're going to take the hat off and we're going to take the sweater off. So if you don't mind doing that. So I'm going to move this light in here first. So let's turn this guy on. We're on 3A. And so the first part is always sort of positioning your lights. So what I'm using is a Profoto deep translucent umbrella, medium. And I find this is a nice size. You're able to, again, fill most of that modifier in with your A10. So you can take advantage of that. You can also move your modifier in closer to it to have a smaller light source, which is quite nice. So if you almost think of the umbrella as a zoomable option, right? So you can have it out, and you can also have it in and zoomed in closer. So depending on the effect you're trying to accomplish. So let's get this in the right position here. Perfect. So Ira, you're going to stand right on that little square for me. Perfect. I'm going to boom this over and up a little bit. So what I'm looking for right now is I want to be able to just be just above it a little bit. I want to kind of just see here underneath a little bit. I'm going to check the angle of this too. So I want it just down at a nice 45. And again, I can move that on here. But this looks pretty good to me. I might go up a little bit on here just so I can sneak in. So that'll be my main light source. Ultimately, what I want to do is fill this in. I have her a certain distance away from the background to still have this light affect the background. So that way we can get a nice pure color. And a vibrant color of that blue. And we're going to put in our reflector down here. Perfect. Gonna have you. So it's going to be at a certain angle as well to make sure that we're reflecting the light how we want. Perfect. Okay. Let's get you back there again. Perfect. So I have a little bit of an opening here, which is really nice. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. Perfect. So I'm shooting with a Sony a7 III with a 55 lens right now. And ultimately, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with one light at a time. Oftentimes, we will turn all the lights on at once. And obviously, there's only one light here. But when we get to 2 light setups, it does sometimes get complicated. So I'm going to load up my app here and turn on my Connect remote. So let's have a look here. So that is connected. Everything looks okay. I'm going to change it to the right channel. So we are on channel 3 today, so I'm just going to do that. There's 20 channels here to choose from now, which is awesome. I don't know if you ever shot in a studio where there's multiple sessions happening at once and someone else from another shoot is firing your flash. So there are now 20 options, which is great. And so what I want to do is I'm going to just kind of kill all the ambient light. We have a little light here just to help so you guys can see us. So you can kind of see that on the shadow back there. So I don't want any of that in my image. So ultimately my first setting is going to be to kill all that ambient light. Okay, so I can kind of see in the back of my viewfinder that ISO 200 f4 and 1/200th of a second is going to do exactly that. So I'm going to ultimately take that first picture, and just so I have a blank and just make sure, I'm just going to do a quick little test. Oh, I actually need to grab something real quick here, guys. Sorry. There we go. Okay, we're back. We're going to try that again. So this is just a lighting test. Ira doesn't have to do anything yet. Haven't given her any instructions or anything like that, but I like how she's being proactive, which is awesome. So right now nothing fired because I want basically a black screen on the back. Now I'm going to turn my remote back on. Okay, we're going to see it pop up here in just a sec. So there it is. And we're going to basically go to TTL. I want to see what happens with TTL. So we're going to just basically do absolutely nothing other than Ira looking into the camera. I'm going to take a shot. And we're going to look at it, and I like it. I really like how this looks. The exposure is spot on. And ultimately, what's really great about Profoto too is that I can now go from a TTL to a manual setting without affecting my light. I don't have to now start again to get my lighting right. Right now it says 5.4 on my flash, which is 5.4 up there, which is great. It's going to stay that way all day long as my subject doesn't move too far away from the camera. Then I'm good, and we could do a couple different things. So for this one, Ira, I would like you to, you're already doing it, which is great. Just wait on a certain leg, either this one or this one, which is awesome. That will kind of bend the spine and shoulders. And give me a couple different variations, different expressions, a couple of smiling, a couple of, give me something quirky as well, which is super nice, exactly. I love that. Good, the hand is awesome. So we can just kind of do a couple different variations. So what I'm looking for ultimately, guys, is I'm looking for two types of catch lights. So the first catch light is provided by this large modifier, and the second one underneath is with a Profoto silver and white reflector that I'm using, and we are looking for a second catch light at the bottom. And ultimately what that does is it catches some of this light as it's hitting this, and now uplighting her a little bit without overpowering things. So what we've done is we have taken some images prior to this because of how this is going to be recorded, but ultimately this is the process that we're going through. So we're going to just do a couple more. You're perfect, beautiful expressions, love that. Very fun and whimsical, which is really cool. I love that. Awesome. She's really great at just kind of giving me a variation as well. So that's something to definitely look for in a model that knows, her way around the body and expressions and what we're trying to get. So I love that. That's perfect. So that pretty much is the first setup. So if you want to throw in that first image, Jay, on the screen, we can kind of talk about it a little bit. All right, let's see. There we go. Perfect. So that's one of the images that we got. And ultimately, you guys can see a very nice, vibrant color, right? So that modifier that's large is hitting the background and lighting the background, which is nice. So if we moved our model Ira, if we moved her, 4 feet, 7 feet out from the background, that background would receive less and less light, right? So it's really nice that we're getting some nice, beautiful color there as well. And again, if you look at the catch lights really in detail, you'll see that there's a highlight on the top of the iris and a highlight at the bottom, and that's basically the clamshell lighting that we're trying to accomplish. So I hope that makes sense. Try this on your next portrait session. It could be a fun way to do headshots or some promotional work for people. So that's our first setup. I think any questions or anything, Jay, that we need to?
Questions at the end.
Perfect. Oh, perfect. Awesome. Okay, sounds great. Awesome, guys. So let's go through the second setup, And for this one, I want to use 2 lights. So we're going to grab another Profoto A10, and we're going to use that. What I want to do for this one is I want to do a fill light that's again nice and big and kind of giving me a lot of fill, and also a main light that's a little bit on the harder side. So I'll show you what I'm thinking of, and then we'll show you the results when we get to it. So if you can step out for a sec, I'm going to actually get you to get your hat and the sweater on. So that would be awesome. I'm going to move this away right here. So we're going to move the reflector. And ultimately what I'm going to do is move this up there, bring this down, and this I'm going to put behind me. So now I'm going to be, it's actually going to be right about here. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to be standing in front of the modifier. Okay, so that light now is behind me, covering a nice area. Okay, so we're going to get a second light on. We're going to grab another light stand. We're going to now power up the second A10. And what I want to do with this one is I want to warm it up a little bit. So I'm going to warm up the light with, let's say, let's go with a 1/4 CTO. And I'm going to finish off the light. I'll show you guys kind of what I'm doing over here. So we're just getting on a 1/4 CTO. And also the dome to give me a nice fall off around the edges, okay? So we're going to get this guy on our bracket here. Okay, here we go. All right, perfect. So what I'm thinking now, I asked Ira to change into something different, which is going to have a hat, which is really cool, and a nice little coat, sweater thingy. Not sure what the technical term is. What is it?
A vest.
A vest. It's a vest. Okay, I didn't know. Thank you. It's a vest. Perfect. So I want her to kind of give me some movements, maybe kind of holding the hat, holding her jacket, and maybe a different angle than before. So I'm going to use a little apple box just to help her with her leg. So ultimately what I'm looking for is something like this, and maybe with holding the hat and holding the jacket in this hand. So I'm looking at 2 things. So if you don't mind heading over there. Perfect, thank you. Awesome, I'm going to turn on my modeling light, which is going to help. So then now I can see what is going on, which is great. Okay, perfect. So we're going to aim this over here. So what I want to do, again, this is more of a personal preference when you guys are doing this. You can either try to include the shadow in the back, which I think kind of gives a little bit more depth, or you can try to get rid of the shadow that this light is going to be casting. Okay, that's more of I think more of an artistic choice. But ultimately, I'm going to have one light on her here. This will be my key light, which is again a smaller light source, so it's a little bit harder than this massive umbrella. Okay, so I want to kind of combine hard and soft light. This is going to be my fill, which is going to just give me some definition in the shadows. So yes, I'm still going to stick with the same camera just for today. And ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to power both flashes on, just to make sure we're good here. They've all connected, which is awesome. And we're going to start out 1 flash at a time. I think this is where a lot of photographers get into trouble, especially newer photographers just learning flash. When you start using more than one, you're going to want to just basically start with a single light. So again, we're able to utilize some of the click accessories on our main light, and again, using a Profoto umbrella for our second light. So let's turn off our, let's turn off our main light. And let's focus simply on this light. So I'm going to take a little, again, I'm going back to auto. Okay. Oh, sorry, I turned off the wrong light, of course. I don't have these labeled yet, but you can certainly label your lights as well on your app, so that way you know which one's which. We didn't do that today. But ultimately, there we go. So now we're firing our backlight only. And we're getting a nice exposure. So what the light's doing is giving me proper exposure, but that's not what I want. So right now, it's telling me that it is 6.9. Okay, that's my rating right now, or my power. I'm going to switch it now to auto. Now I think it's too much. I'm going to take it down. It's 6.9. Let's just call it 7, just for argument's sake, and just for easy numbers. And let's take it down a stop and a half. So we're at 5.5 now. So now I'm going to take this image again, and now it is a stop and a half darker, which is great. I might go a little bit more. I'm going to go to 5, and that should be it. So again, we're just working with one light for now, right behind me, firing that flash. So that's kind of where I like it now. So we went 2 stops under the initial TTL exposure, which was spot on. We're going to now turn on our main light, which is here. And again, I can double check that. It is the one because I'm turning this modeling light on and off. And now this light is at a random number. It's sort of whatever we used last. But let's say we can move it to, I like to start down below and creep my light up, as opposed to starting in a really high power and then having it extremely overexposed, where I don't know if I'm 3 stops over, 2 stops over, or how many stops. I like to go down low. Let's go to 2, lowest power. Maybe 2 will be too little. Maybe let's go to, whatever. Let's start with 2. And then we can work our way up with that key light to get it exactly where we want. So same kind of deal, lean a little bit more into that light for me. Perfect. Yeah, that's it. Beautiful. Light there. Awesome. So that's almost there. We're almost on because she's relatively close to that light. So we're getting enough out of that light. We're going to go half a stop up to 2.5. And we're going to do that again. Perfect. Awesome. So I really like what that looks like. Let's do a couple of different variations here, so that way we can just give me a couple of different expressions. Holding the hat, holding the jacket, top of the hat. Love that. That's awesome. That's great. Perfect. Yes, beautiful. Love that. Love that look right there. That's awesome. That's it. Good. So keep your nose towards that light. So that's very important for you guys to tell your model as well, your subject. Wherever that light is, if you want that nice controlled shadow on this side of the face, on the short side, or short lighting as we call it, it's really important that the nose is always facing your key light. So we're going to just keep that. Take a few more frames, guys, and then we'll show you kind of what we're getting. So why don't we show them that image that we got, and we can talk about it a little bit. So that's the one. Perfect. So a couple things. We've warmed it up a little bit, which is nice. So we have a nice warm glow on the face, on the hat as well. The rim is nice and high, so we can get the light into the eyes. And I like the fact that it has the shadow in the back there. I think it gives it a little bit more depth and just another visual interest. So everything else is exactly how I wanted it. It's a nice mix of that warm and cold tones, which looks really nice. So let's move on to the last one. We're going to do this one. Try to do this real quick. So if you can step out for me, that would be awesome. And what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to now get grids going and a dome. I'm going to combine those two. So the grid's going to tighten that beam for me, but give me nice, soft fall off on the edge. And what we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to light the background now, just to give us, a different kind of look as well. So let's try to do that. So I'm going to put this down right over here, and I'm going to try to have it light a little bit of this background here. Okay, so there's a light here that's going to spill and go down. Almost creating, like if you think of the moonlight or so, creeping onto a wall or something like that. So we're going to work with that. And then the main umbrella, what I'm going to do is I want to move it in, move it down. Perfect. And we're going to place it just on the side here. So we're going to move that apple box, and ultimately what we're going to do is have this light right here and nice and close to her as well. So when we keep the light nice and close, we're going to have less light hit the background. So that's kind of what I want. I don't want to overexpose that background or have it extremely bright, because I really want that backlight that I have give me the mood that I'm looking for. So hopefully that all makes sense for you guys. Okay, so here we go. Again, so Ira, if you can have a stand right there for me, perfect. Okay, so right now she's just going to hang out. I'm going to get my lighting situation under control here. And again, we're going to start with auto. Okay, I want to start with auto, and I want to start with turning off my key light. So that's my backlight. So now I'm going to go and turn off my key light for now. So all I'm looking for right now is what that backlight is going to do. And let me see. I'm going to take a quick shot and let Profoto tell me what the right exposure is. And let's see. So that's pretty good. I like what that looks like. I'm going to lock that in. But it is a little, I have a little hot spot going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it down. It's at 5.7. I'm going to go to 4.7. And I'm slightly going to just move it just a little bit away from that wall, which will help get rid of that hot spot. So again, all we're doing is we have one light on right now. We are just looking at what that looks like. And that's exactly where I want it, which looks really great. And now we can turn on our main. So let's go do that. And our main light, again, is sort of at the last setting, or a random setting here. We're at 5. So let's see if that will work. The backlight's at 4. This is at 5. Might be a bit too hot, but let's see. And so here, I want you to take a half a step to me. Perfect. I want you to turn your body this way for me, face into the light, and grab the code and kind of have some fun with it. Pretend it's cold, because it's going to be soon. So we'll just get practice. And that nose is going to go right there. Beautiful. Let's take a quick little shot here. So that is spot on, guys. So again, just my method of doing it this way. That's what I'm used to. So I kind of have an idea now of what my settings should be, and I can always adjust as I need. But let's take a few different variations. Perfect. Let's do a couple of these. Nice. Super cold. Yeah, so cold. Awesome. Beautiful. Good stuff. Okay, perfect. So let's show you guys that resulting image. We can talk about it a little bit. And ultimately, what I want to do, exactly what I was hoping to get, is a nice light coming in from the corner of the image, and then having my main light be a nice soft modifier. So I think that's it. We don't need to talk about it a little bit anymore. But what I want to do is I want to take the same shot with my phone. So I'm going to load up the camera app, and I'm going to keep everything the same. Now I'm going to adjust my settings here. I'm not going to try to match them to my DSLR or to my Sony mirrorless, but I'm going to just visually kind of see how things are going to look. I like to use the 2x zoom. It gives me sort of the sense of a telephoto or a nice portrait lens. And I'm going to take a quick little shot, and both of those have fired, which is great. And I'm getting a nice image here. So let's do a couple of these. Okay, so my main is a little bit hot on the phone. So what I'm going to do is go into the flash settings, and I'm going to take it down a little bit. It's at 5.4. I'm going to go to 4.7 and just do a few more here. That's it. Beautiful. Awesome. Good. It's the same. Super cold again. Yeah. So cool. Beautiful. Thank you, Ira. That's awesome. So now we have an iPhone image that we can show you guys, and show you what that looks like. So.
So what do you think, Raph?
Yeah, I mean, look, Jay. I mean, the technology is getting awesome. I think it's a great future-proof way to see where the industry goes. I think there's not as many lens choices and all those things yet with the phones, so it's hard to really get out there on a professional shoot and shoot it this way, just because of the availability of gear that I've already invested in. But ultimately, I think to the bottom, if you kind of get to the root of it all, I think, again, this is just another tool that we can, or that we're able to utilize now where we couldn't before, which is really great. And ultimately, like I said, I'm not going to go rush out there right now and shoot a a wedding with an iPhone. It's not going to happen. But knowing that technology is there and see where things go, I think is really interesting and exciting. But ultimately, the fundamentals have to be there. Again, going back to, a race car driver analogy where, just because you buy a race car doesn't mean you can actually go and do a good job on a track. So similar to this, where the fundamentals of photography should always be there and will need to be there. And then again, this is just another way of making things a little easier, a little bit more accessible to a lot of people. And I think it's an exciting part, just like when digital came before the film days, this is perhaps another thing that we're going to see explore in the future. So,
should we show the behind the scene with my iPhone when I took?
Yeah, we can do that. So Jay was shooting just me photographing behind the scenes and utilizing a little bit of the light as well. So I think those are fun behind the scenes images where, again, this could be edited. These are the raw iPhone shots. And again, this is another way I would use this on a portrait shoot or, on a wedding day.
So Raph, do you think your assistant can do this job? Actually using the iPhone?
Well, I think if someone that's using this with an iPhone has those fundamentals of photography in them, or is knowledgeable, then certainly this is another way that you can do it. But I think those fundamentals just have to be there. You can't just hand over someone equipment and assume they know how to. You can still light poorly with great equipment at the end of the day. But this certainly makes it easier, and again, very accessible to everyone. And I just think it's exciting. It's an exciting time that we're in with this technology. Yeah.
The quality is not so bad.
No.
So I have a question for you. So going forward, do you think there will be a time where wedding and portrait photographers might be using a smartphone maybe that is interchangeable, very similar, has more computing power? What do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I really, at the end of the day, I don't know, because you have to look at it this way too, that when technology in the phones, if we're looking at technology 10 years from now on the phones, you need to also consider the technology in cameras 10 years from now, which will also be improved. So I'm curious really to see whether that gap is going to be closed and where we're going to bridge that gap. And I think that's the most interesting part of this, because it's sort of two different entities working towards the same goal. And I just think we'll see if that gap is closed, and then we'll see if phones can keep up. But again, I don't know where DSLRs or mirrorless is going to be in 10 years as well. Maybe there's going to be a fusion of the two of some sort. I don't know. Hard to say. Yeah.
All right, well, Raph, thank you so much for our very first webinar during this COVID time. And obviously, to everybody who's listening, hope that this was our very first attempt, and hopefully we can improve on certain technical aspects. But it's very exciting times, again, going forward with this new technology. But again, Profoto is not here to dictate what tools you're going to be using. But at the same time, it's like the case of all your tools. You have Philips for certain things, and you have all different purpose tools, and think of it as a tool that can be future-proof, so that whenever the new mediums, like God knows we'll be photographing with, maybe with the contact lens, God knows in the future, maybe when I'm 100 years old, maybe that'll be the case. But again, Profoto here to stay, and all your products can be compatible with the future innovation. And we're living in a time where technological advancement is extremely fast. Next day, we see a new launch of phone, and I think the iPhones it's more powerful than when we send a person to the moon. So it's a very exciting time. But again, thank you very much, Raph, and everybody. Hope stay safe, and we are eager to see you on our actual seminar. But let's see when we can do that going forward. But meanwhile, for any questions on Profoto A10, please visit our website at www.profoto.com or visit your nearest dealer. in Toronto area, or you're in Pacific Northwest, we have a dealers in every major city. So please go to profoto.com and you'll be able to find our authorized retailer, and they'll be able to help you with more in-depth questions. Again, on behalf of Profoto North America and Raph, thank you so much, and I hope everybody have a great afternoon or the morning.